Hello, students. I am Sayyeda Khan and I am here to teach you English, chapter number 1, Three Questions, part 1. This is a beautiful and touching story by Leo Tolstoy, who was a Russian writer and is regarded as one of the greatest authors of all time. This story conveys us the importance of time so that we should never waste it. Second, it tells us the importance of people so that we respect them. And finally, the story conveys that humanity is the first prospect of all human, so we should always do good to others. This story is about a king who is seeking answers to his three questions. Let's see what are his questions and does he get what he wants. As you can see, the first question is, what is the right time to begin something? Second, which people should he listen to? Third, what is the most important thing for him to do? Once upon a time, a thought came to a certain king that if he knew three things, he would never fail. Now, as he was seeking answers to his three questions, he sent messengers throughout his kingdom. He promised a large sum of money to anyone who would answer his three questions. In reply to his first question, that is, what is the right time to begin something? Some wise men said that the king must prepare a timetable and then follow it strictly. Other wise men said that it was not possible to decide in advance the right time for doing something. The king should notice all that was going on, avoid foolish pleasures, and always do whatever seemed necessary at that time. Some others said that the king needed a council of wise men who would help him act at the proper time. Students, let's move on to page number 8. As you can see, we have come across a new word, that is council. Let us understand the meaning of the word council. It means a group of people chosen to give advice or to make rules. Students, can you guess why does the king need a council of wise men? Yes, exactly. Because one person would find it impossible to decide correctly the right time for every action without taking help from others. But the others said that there were some things which could be urgent and should not wait for the decision of the council. In order to decide the right time, it is necessary to look into the future. And according to them, only magicians could do that. They said, therefore, the king would have to go to magicians. Now let's see what were the answers given by the people to the king's second question. Students, do you remember what was the king's second question? Good. The question was, which people should he listen to? Some said that the people most important to the king were his counselors. Others said the priests. Now let us see the meaning of the word counselors. Counselors mean members of the council. Few people said that the king should listen to doctors. Yet others said that his soldiers were the most important. Finally, the king put forth his third question. What is the most important thing for him to do? Some people suggested the king to do science. Others asked him to choose fighting. And yet others asked him to do religious worship. At last, the king was not satisfied with so many different answers and did not reward anyone. Instead, he decided to go to a hermit who was known for his wisdom and seek his advice. Students, again we have come across a new word, hermit. The word hermit means a person who lives alone and leads a simple life. The hermit lived in a wood, which means a small forest. The hermit never left the forest. He saw no one but simple people, and so the king put on ordinary clothes. Before the king reached the hermit's hut, he left his horse with a bodyguard and went on alone. As the king came near the hermit's hut, he saw the hermit digging the ground in front of his hut. Let's move on to page number 9. The hermit greeted the king and continued digging. The hermit was old and weak, and as he worked, he breathed heavily. The king went up to the hermit and said, I have come to you, wise hermit, to ask you answer 3 questions. First, how can I learn to do the right thing at the right time? Second, who are the people I need the most? Third, and what affairs are the most important? Students, here the word affairs means things, matters, business. The hermit listened to the king but did not speak. He went on digging. You are tired, said the king. Let me take the spade and work in your place. Thanks, said the hermit, giving his spade to the king. Then he sat down on the ground. Let's move on to page number 10. When the king had dug 2 beds, he stopped and repeated his question. The hermit gave no answer but stood up, stretching out his hand for the spade and said, Now you rest and let me work. But the king did not give him the spade and continued to dig. An hour passed, then another. The sun went down behind the trees, and at last the king stuck the spade into the ground and said, I have come to you, wise man, for an answer to my questions. If you can give me no answer, tell me so and I will return home. Here comes someone running, said the hermit. So, students, with this we come to the end of part 1. I hope you have understood the extract. Now, let's move on to comprehension check and answer the questions. The first question is, why did the king want to know answers to his 3 questions? And the answer is, the king wanted to know the answers to his 3 questions because he thought he would never fail once he knew the answers to the questions. The second question is, messengers were sent throughout the kingdom. Students, can you see we have got 4 options. The first one is to fetch wise men. The second one is to find answers to the questions. Number 3, to look for the wise hermit. Number 4, to announce a reward for those who could answer the questions. So students, the answer is the fourth one, the fourth option, to announce a reward for those who could answer the questions. Please tick the fourth option in your textbook. Students, so now we will move ahead with part 2. When the hermit said, Here comes someone running, the king turned around and saw a bearded man running towards them. His hands were pressed against his stomach, from which blood was flowing. When the man reached the king, he fainted and fell to the ground. Students, let's see the meaning of the word fainted. It means to lose consciousness. Let's move on to page number 11. The king and the hermit removed the man's clothing and found a large wound in his stomach. Wound, it means an injury caused by a cut or a bullet. The king washed and covered the wound with his handkerchief, but the blood would not stop flowing. The king redressed the wound until at last the bleeding stopped. The man felt better and asked for something to drink. The king gave him fresh water. By this time, the sun had set and the air was cool. The king, with the hermit's help, carried the wounded man into the hut and laid him on the bed. The man closed his eyes and lay quiet. Being tired by his walk and the work he had done, the king lay down on the floor and slept through the night. When he awoke, it was several minutes before he could remember where he was or who the strange bearded man lying on the bed was. Let's move on to page number 12. Forgive me, said the bearded man in a weak voice when he saw that the king was awake. I do not know you and have nothing to forgive you for, said the king. The bearded man answered, You do not know me, but I know you. I am that enemy of yours who sought revenge on you because you put my brother to death and seized my property. Students, let us understand the meaning of revenge. It means something harmful done to someone in return for something bad that they did to you. Now let us see the meaning of the word seized. It means to take away by force. The bearded man continued, I knew you had gone alone to see that hermit, and I made up my mind to kill you on your way home. But the day passed and you did not return. So I left my hiding place, and I came upon your bodyguard, who recognized me and wounded me. I escaped from him, but I should have died if you had not dressed my wound. I wish to kill you, and you have saved my life. Now, if I live, I will serve you as your most faithful servant and will order my sons to do the same. Forgive me. Students, the meaning of the word faithful means loyal and true. The king was happy to have made peace with his enemy and to have won him over as a friend. The king not only forgave the bearded man, but also said that he would send his servants and his own doctor to look after him. The king also promised to give back the man his property. The king left the wounded man and went out of the hut looking for the hermit. Before leaving the hermit's hut, he wished to get answers to his questions. The hermit was sowing seeds in the beds that had been dug the day before. The king went up to the hermit and said, For the last time, I beg you to answer my questions, wise man. Students, let's move on to page number 13. The hermit replied, You have already been answered. The king replied, What do you mean? How have I been answered? The hermit replied, If you had not pitied my weakness yesterday and had not dug these beds for me, you would have gone away. Then that man would have attacked you and you would have wished you had stayed with me. So the most important time was when you were digging the beds, and I was the most important man, and to do me good was your most important business. Afterwards, when the man ran to us, the most important time was when you were caring for him, because if you had not dressed his wounds, he would have died without having made peace with you. So he was the most important man, and what you did for him was your most important business. The hermit continued, "Remember, there is only one time that is important, and that time is now. It is the most important time because it is the only time when we have any power to act. The most necessary person is the person you are with at a particular moment. For no one knows what will happen in the future and whether we will meet anyone else. The most important business is to do that person good because we were sent into the world for that purpose alone." So, students, with this beautiful story, we come to the end of the lesson. 3 questions. I would like to sum up by saying that the present period is the right time to do your best. So, students, start gearing up, pick up your books, and start giving your best. So, with this, I come to the end of part 1. Students, in part 2, I'm going to start with the comprehension check and the question answers. So, please be ready with your books and your notebooks when I begin with part 2. Thank you for now. Goodbye. Stay home, stay safe.